I remember the first All-Star game ever played, the NBA All-Star game that Walter Brown, the owner of the Celtics at the time, really was instrumental in getting done here. I remember the playoff, the first championship the Celtics won. I was on the Hawks at the time. And I remember the second year, or the year after that, they didn't win it because we won it and we were with the Hawks. I remember Kuz just...
that was his rookie year now.
That was his rookie year.
Celtics, right?
I remember training camp, and I was, I never played with him before. I was cutting under the basket. I didn't think I was open. And all of a sudden, the ball hit me in the hands. And, John, I said, I'm never going to take my eyes off of that man as long as I'm here.
And what a nice experience it was for you, Ed Macaulay. Let's talk to Tiny Archibald for a minute. Now we're going to go to 1978. A part of your 5-year tenure with the Celtics included a championship, Tiny. What are your feelings tonight?
Well, first of all, when I became a member of the Boston Celtics, it wasn't a great memory. That year, we was in a transition before we got Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Cedric Maxwell was already on the team, and Robert Parrish. Probably, for me, the best front line in basketball came later. I remember that year, John, we didn't win but maybe 17, 18 games. The next year we came back, and I don't think we lost but 13 or 14 games. So the memories were very fond memories here. I was just fortunate and lucky to be a part of that, and tonight will hopefully be one of those things that I will never forget it for the rest of my life.
Is there such a thing as Celtic mystique here in the Boston Garden?
Well, I think it's all about Red Auerbach, and I think that Red Auerbach back then and still is today the mastermind, and with the players, bringing the players to the Boston Celtics was all about Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach was the orchestrator, the conductor, and the mastermind behind having those type of players play in his system.
Tiny, you were one of those who added to this tradition. It's great to see you here tonight, too.
Thank you, John.
Ed Macaulay, a pleasure to see you. You were here before Red Auerbach.
Well, I was here a couple of months before Red. And I was here before Cousy. I was here before Red.
And you're very much part of this rich Celtic tradition.
I never won a championship here, but these people are so gracious. Mine is the first number that was ever retired, and they still invite me back for these things, and I think it's wonderful.
Thanks for joining us and sharing your memories, Ed.
Okay.
Tiny Archibald, Ed Macaulay, Mike Crispino. Let's go back to you now.
All right, thanks very much, John, and some very select company tonight at Boston Garden. We'll be back with the starting lineups for the Knicks and the Celtics. That's coming up next on MSG. This is Knicks Game Night. Stay with us. Welcome back to Knicks Game Night. Of course, the Knicks are celebrating their 25th anniversary of their 1969-1970 championship, and MSG is doing it with them, as you've been seeing in our pregame shows down through the season. The Celtics, of course, always renowned for their rabid fans, but so have the New York Knicks been renowned for having crazy, wild fans.
In 1970, New York fans turned out in record numbers to cheer on a Knicks team that had captured the imagination of the city.
The excitement, the electricity that it went through not only Madison Square Garden, but the whole city. I think the whole city was just caught up behind the Knicks at that time.
And I can recall certain nights I thought we would fall downstairs in the garden. This place was rocking, so everyone would be jumping and stomping and making noise.
And you'd have people applaud the pass that led to the pass that led to the basket. Clyde and I used to have a play where he'd go back door and I'd hit him with the pass. The crowd could anticipate when this play was going to happen. You knew you were playing for a crowd that understood what they were seeing.
Chrysler probable starting lineups for the night. The Knicks and the Celtics is Charles Smith, Herb Williams up front for Patrick Ewing, and Charles Oakley. Greg Anthony starting for Derek Harper and John Starks. Now for the Celtics, Derek Strong and Dominique Wilkins up front, D. Brown and Sherman Douglas in the backcourt, Eric Montross in the middle. The Knicks and the Celtics coming up next here on MSG. We'll be back at halftime, everybody. Enjoy the game.
New York Knicks Game Night has been brought to you by Payne Weber. We believe our most important investment is an investment in relationships. By McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today. By Eagle. Test drive an Eagle at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer or call 1-800-2-TEST-EAGLE. And by MCS Cannon. Let us show you the possibilities.
One, and nobody beats the Wiz. Cellular service.
Hey, Boomer!
That's simply the best.
Just try to keep...
Has been Arnold Red Auerbach, and his Celtic family has given him and the fans of New England much to be proud of. The memories that originated within the walls of one of sport's most hallowed halls linger on for all to cherish, with the 16 championship banners that decorate the rafters representing the excellence that emanated from the famed parquet floor below. The New York Knicks have their own memories here, none more pleasant than in 1973, when they became the first visitors to emerge victorious in a deciding 7th game. In fact, of the 7 playoff series between these bitter rivalries that concluded here, 5 were won by the Knicks. There was also the drought which followed the 1984 Knicks victory, in which New York would go almost 9 years and 23 regular season games without another win in Boston, until December of '92 when Patrick Ewing helped break the spell. But in between came the incredible playoff series in 1990, when the Knicks did the unthinkable and erased a 2-0 deficit, ultimately winning the deciding 5th game. In a reversal of fortunes, New York has now won 6 consecutive games in Boston, where no team has ever won 7 in a row. That is the lasting memory that the Knicks would like to leave. This is a very special night here in Boston. It's the end of an NBA era, the regular season finale at the Boston Garden. That is the setting for the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. The Knicks at 53-27 with the win last night in Charlotte. They have clinched home court advantage throughout the playoffs, while the Celtics in the race for the 8th and final playoff berth need 1 win or a Milwaukee defeat to wrap it up in Milwaukee, playing at Cleveland tonight. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with John Andres, and the Knicks come off that improbable win over the Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte last night. A win that was sparked by the play of the bench in the 4th quarter.
Amazingly, with Ewing and Harper on the bench, both injured, the team trailing early in the 4th quarter, and then suddenly the lights went out for Charlotte because of the Knicks players off the bench. What a job. Greg Anthony beginning the situation for the Knicks that turned around in the end of the 3rd quarter. Then Anthony Mason working in close, showing his strength as he did earlier in the game. Mason was the consistent Knick throughout. And then Herb Williams, he had 2 big hoops in the 4th quarter. This was one of them, giving the Knicks an 83-80 lead. Patrick Ewing said he earned his money last night, not as a player, but as a cheerleader. And you look at what the Knicks bench did, led by Anthony Mason's 15 points and 9 rebounds. Hubert Davis perfect from the foul line, adding up to 13 points. Greg Anthony and Herb Williams, and the total Knick effort off the bench outscoring Charlotte by 20 points. Another example of how potent the Knicks can be when Pat Riley has to go to that bench.
And Patrick Ewing will be sitting it out because of that strained hamstring. He'll miss the game tonight. He might play Sunday against Orlando. Derek Harper with a sore ankle also out of action tonight. In fact, Derek has been placed on the injured list, but the Knicks make the point it is not a serious injury. They just wanted to be able to activate Charlie Ward and get him some action. So Herb Williams and Greg Anthony will be in the starting lineup. As for the Boston Celtics, they have gone very well as of late, although they come off a loss to the Milwaukee Bucks, but they have won 8 of the last 10. And during the course of this good run, they have been sparked by the play of Sherman Douglas.
Yeah, Sherman has really stepped up, winning 8 out of 10, as you mentioned, Marv. Sherman has averaged, well, you can see what he's done since the All-Star break this year. 19 points versus half that prior to the All-Star break. His assists are up, his minutes are up, and a very important part of the success that this team has enjoyed lately. The Celtics now are a different team than they were the last time the Knicks met them. They're going to be a lot tougher, particularly with the inspiration in the building tonight.
So it is coming up, the Knicks and the Celtics in the regular season farewell here on the parquet in Boston, as we are awaiting the introduction of the starting lineups. The Knicks, following tonight, will finish up the regular season at Madison Square Garden against Orlando, and the Celtics on Sunday will face the New Jersey Nets. And right now, a moment of silence for the victims in the tragedy that took place in Oklahoma City.
Thank you. And now, let's take the starting lineups first.
And now the introduction of the starting lineups.
Oklahoma State, 6'5" and number 3, John Starks. The other guard is from Nevada, Las Vegas, 6'2", number 50, Greg Anthony. The center is from Ohio State, 6'11", number 32, Herb Williams. And forward from Virginia Union, 6'9", number 34, Charles Oakley. And at the other forward from Pittsburgh, 6'10", number 54, Charles Smith. Trainer of the Knicks is Mike Saunders, assisted by Tim Walsh. Assistant coaches Jeff Van Gundy and Bob Sami. Head coach Pat Riley. And now introducing the Boston Celtics. At guard from Jacksonville, 6'1", number 7, co-captain T. Brown. The other guard is from Syracuse, 6'1", number 20, Sherman Douglas. The center is from North Carolina, 7 foot even, number 0, Eric Montross. And forward from Xavier, 6'8", number 31, Derek Strong. And at the other forward from Georgia, 6'8", number 12, co-captain Dominique Wilkins. Trainer of the Celtics is Ed Lacerte. Assistant coaches Don Casey and Dennis Johnson. Head coach Chris Ford.
The officials, Billy Oakes, Jack Neese, and Ted Bernhardt, will be back with the opening tip in a moment. Of the season in the absence of the injured Patrick Ewing tonight, and Greg Anthony making his first start of the season as he is filling in for Derek Hoffer. And the Boston Celtics controlling the opening tip. D. Brown, played by John Starks. Herb Williams guarding the rookie Eric Montross. Eric Montross certainly delighted that he does not have to face Patrick Ewing. Derek Strong apparently had the ball knocked away, knocked out of bounds into the Celtic ball. Patrick Ewing in that home-and-home series in the last meetings against the Celtics had his way against Eric Montross.
Yes, in the local papers today, Montross spent a lot of time saying Great words of admiration for Patrick and what a terrific player he is, and a great opponent. And as you say, Marv, you know he's delighted to see Patrick in the civilian clothes.
Rebounded by Oakley. Dominique Wilkins not able to hit on his first attempt. John Starks setting it up against D. Brown. Starks trying to hit Oakley with that pass, and it's deflected out of bounds. So the Knicks have 9 on the shot clock.
Kind of a delayed pick and roll with Starks trying to set up Oakley as John was double teamed.
Anthony being guarded by Douglas. Shot clock is at 5. Starks. And Montross with the rebound. John Starks did not shoot well last night against Charlotte, but he was instrumental in the comeback in the fourth quarter. Derek Strong was run into and a foul call. It'll be Boston ball. Herb Williams called for the foul. The Celtics coming off the loss in Milwaukee on Wednesday. Anthony picks up the hand check personal. Lost to the Bucks 106-97. So coming into tonight, Boston 2 games in front of Milwaukee. That's Brown for 3. D. Brown from downtown. A Celtic victory or a Milwaukee loss would clinch a playoff spot for Boston. Last touch by Anthony.
And this Boston Celtics team is going to give the Knicks the best they have, and the best they have has been good lately, winning 8 of 10, as we mentioned earlier.
Here's Brown, rejected. Brown on the follow, rejected again by Herb Williams. And it will be Celtic ball.
If the Knicks don't treat this game as a regular season, highly competitive game, a game that they want to show their stuff to the legends to, they'll get run out here by Boston.
Derek Strong rejected. Is that Herb Williams again? 3-on-1. Anthony. Starks for Anthony. And the Celtics with a 3-2 lead. Boston getting back in a hurry. The ball knocked away by Anthony, knocked out of bounds. This the 5th and final game of the season series between the Knicks and Boston. Knicks have won the previous 4. Last season the Knicks took 4 of 4. And the Knicks have won 10 straight against the Celtics. Foul on Starks. Blocking foul on John. The Knicks' last loss to Boston was January 10th, 1993. A 3-pointer won by the Celtics in New York. The last time the Celtics beat the Knicks here in Boston, that's a 3 for Wilkins. April 8th, 1992. Back to that, John, the 24th straight regular season win over the Knicks in Boston. Remember when that streak was alive. Foul is called on the Celtics as Charles Smith took it to the hoop. Derek Strong called for the foul.
It's an interesting part of the Celtic history. Their consecutive losses to an opponent. You can see the New York Knicks right there with 10 straight over the Boston Celtics. Milwaukee back in 69-71 had 11. Chicago in 48-50. Let's get Ed McCauley back here to discuss those years.
Easy Ed McCauley, one of your guests on Knicks game night. Former radio and television man in St. Louis.
Which he reminded me of, I might add, Marv.
Was it an audition, John?
Very gracious guy. Hard to believe he was only here for 6 years, though.
Wilkins, it counts, and the foul. Dominique Wilkins, who has certainly had his ups and downs in this his first season in a Celtic uniform, able to hit and drew the foul. Charles Smith called for the foul.
Well, Dominique still very explosive, evidenced by that move and the soft touch. With all the criticism about his game, he's still the leading scorer on this team, averaging 18 points a game this year.
Celtics 9 and the Knicks 3. Here's Starks for 3. So John Starks hitting the 3, and it's a 3-point Boston lead.
You know, John's focusing on shooting at a better percentage after his problems of late.
It will count, and the foul. Now, Sherman Douglas will head to the line.
Well, Sherman Douglas has been playing terrific ball. Goes around Greg Anthony. Herb Williams tries to draw the charge. Maybe next time he'll think about blocking the shot of the much shorter Sherman Douglas.
Douglas not able to complete the three-point play. 11-6 Boston. Crowd wanted a carry called on Anthony.
Greg instinctively let the ball come to him, though, after it got away.
Herb Williams. And the rebound handled by Dominique Wilkins. Douglas with the spin, trying to feed Montross. Anthony Mason getting set to check in. Anthony Mason with a very fine performance last night in the fourth quarter against the Charlotte Hornets. This is the last regular season game at the Boston Garden. Charles Oakley. Now in 10 days, the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators will play the final regular season hockey game here at the Boston Garden. This arena built back in 1928, occupied since 1946 by the Celtics. Starks getting it to Anthony. Brown is back. Anthony is rejected emphatically by D. Brown, who can leap. Whoa.
Former slam dunk champion reminded everybody here of that ability. Greg Anthony picking up the pass now from John Starks. Greg stays with the left hand, and D. Brown sends it away.
4 minutes gone by in the first quarter. Starks with a bullet for Anthony, fires for three. Rebound saved by Oakley, but he throws to the backcourt. And that is a violation. The ball goes back to the Celtics. The Knicks now have Mason, Smith, and Williams. Now make it Mason, Smith, and Oakley up front. Herb Williams sitting down. Anthony and Starks at the guards. Brown spinning his way. Deep Brown with a beautiful move. And Boston looking sharp here at the start. They are up by 5.
D. Brown can be spectacular. He's gone as high as 41 points this season in a game.
Mason in a battle with Strong. Anthony Mason.
Now, Strong is obviously strong. I mean, he's got a great body, and Anthony Mason totally disregarded him and did what he wanted to do.
Eric Strong in his 4th year out of Xavier of Ohio. A guy who has been with a number of teams. Oh, what a move. Sherman Douglas able to fire it up. And he's given the Celtics a 15-10 lead.
That kind of penetration, Charles Smith, hopefully from the Knicks viewpoint, will get a little more active and get into some shot blocking.
Foul on the Celtics. Timeout is taken. 6:53 remaining in the first.
The Rangers are at the Garden to battle Jim Carrey and the Washington Capitals Monday night, right here on MSG.
Been on a few.
Showing up, you saw Bill Russell and JoJo White. Bill Sharman on the right, Tom Sanders, the man in the middle. They will all take part in the halftime ceremonies. I'm told that Bill Russell has not been at a game here at the Boston Garden in nearly 10 years. Charles Smith not able to hit from the three-point range. Smith on the follow. And the Knicks are down by 3 with 6.5 to go in this first quarter. Bill Russell has had a love-hate relationship with the fans here in Boston. And the Celtics wanted to retire his number. And he did not want to have the number retired in a public ceremony. So Red Auerbach had it done several hours before a game. And they raised the jersey number to the rafters and made the announcement once the game started. Anthony Mason making his move, and a 3-second violation is called. Russell greeted by a standing ovation, would not acknowledge the crowd.
Always a very complex man, and and had a problem with the city of Boston, too. A lot of it tinged with racial overtones and how he feels the city treated minority people. Nevertheless, the great years of the Boston Celtics began in 1956 in Bill Russell's rookie year, and that was their first championship season, along with Tommy Heinsohn, I might add, who had a great year also. And that tells the story. And there's great mutual respect from Red Auerbach in the direction of Bill Russell, despite the awkward moments that you suggested, Mark. Great mutual respect and mutual love.
Foul on Strong. Dino Radja these days coming off the bench and getting set to check in, as is Anthony Bonner, who had started 17 straight games. Did not start last night. Charles Smith replacing Bonner in the starting lineup. Bonner did not play at all in Charlotte, but here he is in the first quarter and able to come up with that rebound. Mason, now guarded by Montross, able to swing around him. And then rebounded by Wilkins. Has a 3-on-2. Dominique straight down the lane, lost the grip. Radja with the steal. Dino Radja took it away from John Starks. Celtics with a 19-12 lead.
Radja did something interesting several games ago. He asked to be taken out of the starting lineup. He felt he was not playing well, and he asked to come off the bench, and it's worked quite well. He's still getting his big numbers, and the Celtics have been winning 10 of their last 14.
Bonner. Anthony Bonner showing us a rare offensive move, and he'll go to the line. Foul on Montross. So Anthony Bonner, who appeared to have it going at the foul line for a while, but is back to having his difficulties at the line.
Marv, looking at Bill Russell and all of the other legends here tonight, it's interesting. We all test our memories. Let's see, did he play with that guy? Did this guy mix in with this fellow?
It's all a blur, isn't it?
But it's happy memories and strong memories of great play here. But Russell was the years 1956, as I mentioned, through 69. He ended in 68, 69. Joe White had 2 championships. Then he played for, in the 70s and 80s rather, he played for Tommy Heinsohn. Excuse me, 69 through 79.
You're confusing me more than ever now, Joe.
Let me just make that.
Did you get your numbers straight?
Tommy Heinsohn coached 2 championships, and Joe, who we saw sitting with Bill, had 2 championship seasons.
John Starks cutting it to a 4-point Celtic lead. Wilkins spinning his way. Offensive foul is called. Now, John, we're on MSG1 tonight. You might get away with some of that stuff on MSG2, as you did last night. Different ball game here.
A very tough challenge dealing with all these distractions.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on you with that full-page ad, and was it full page in the Post?
It seemed that way.
The Johnny Hoops ad? Yes, it did.
Very big.
Starks had it knocked away, deflected out by the Celtics. Is that a weekly feature that we can look forward to?
I think it depends on the public reaction, Marvin. My guess would be...
Oh, I could see it swelling to a crescendo.
You're responsible for this.
Here is Oakley. Mason on the rebound. Nice fake that had Douglas reacting. And back comes Brown. Knicks able to get back on the transition. Here's D. Brown. Celtics 21. The Knicks 15. The usual capacity crowd on hand, 14,890. That is the 658th consecutive sellout. And they enjoy Radja with the steal, finding Douglas for an 8-point Boston lead.
D. Brown also reaching around, getting that ball free. Celtics are playing hard. They're on the case. They have great support here tonight. The Knicks are feeling it.
Timeout taken by the Knicks with 3:16 left in the first. Up in the United States in its final days, and this the final regular season game ever for the Celtics at the Boston Garden. We talked with Knicks coach Pat Riley and asked for his thoughts on this building.
It's simply probably the greatest venue in the history of the sports world. It really was. It should be like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. They should really make it a relic, an artifact. They should not tear it down. They should have shows and walkthroughs and tours and stuff like that. But simply a great, great building, and there's a lot of great memories.
Pat, you didn't pick on the locker rooms, though.
Well, I don't want to, on its very, very last night, I do not want to have to diss the place too much, okay? So I'll let that all go. It'll be in my next book.
Pat Riley has also been a part of many painful moments here at the Boston Garden, and some good ones. Eric Montross just committed that foul, his third. He is sitting down, and that sends Anthony Mason to the line.
I'm sure Pat can vividly recall springtime playoff experiences with oxygen serving Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to keep him alive for these tough, hard-fought battles here in Boston's Garden.
Anthony Mason firing a brick on that free throw, but apparently a lane violation will give him another toss. Pat Riley says his single greatest memory of the Boston Garden is winning the 1985 NBA Finals Game 6 to take the championship for the Lakers here in Boston. Well, Mason takes advantage, and the Celtics lead 23-16, just under 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Purvis Ellison replacing the foul-playing Eric Montross. Douglas off the dribble, and a bad pass handled by Gilbert Davis, who just came on. Brown got a hand on it, knocked it away. It will be Nick Ball.
This is one of those rare nights when the Knicks starting backcourt is not facing taller people. Brown and Sherman Douglas both 6'1".
The Knicks have Davis and Anthony at the guards. Anthony Mason surprised by that pass because he was being hit from behind by Purvis Ellison, and Anthony had the head down, draws the foul.
It's also tough to see passes that are coming through the air in a line drive fashion as that one did. I mean, Mason is fast. He has great hands. It just shows you once again how bounce passes are a much better way to get the ball into the big guy. It's also difficult to deflect the bounce pass, whereas the line drive, a big man can reach around and deflect it easily.
Boston 23 and the Knicks 18. Dino Raja setting it up against Anthony Mason. Nice pass for Sherman Douglas.
Hubert Davis the victim on that play.
John, you know, this court will resurface, dead spots and all, at the new Fleet Center. I was talking earlier with former Celtic Tommy Archibald about the dead spots here on the parquet at the Boston Garden. He said he got to know the spots pretty well. Anthony Potter for Greg Anthony, three-pointer. And Wilkins with the save.
Bob Cousy also in recalling the dead spots, saying that the visiting team had the same situation we did. The inference that the Celtics knew the dead spot, he said, was ridiculous. He said, can you imagine in the middle of a fast break knowing that the fifth board from the line on the left is the dead spot board? You know, he said, we faced the same problems that visiting teams had. Same with the locker rooms. There's an example of the cause of dead spots.
Bonner was called on the foul. Wilkins to the line. Well, the old court at the previous Madison Square Garden also noted for dead spots, although not as notorious as the court here in Boston.
I must say, Mark, from my vivid recollections of the old Garden, much easier also to jump on a floor like that. There's some give in a floor with some give to it and some dead spots, as you say.
How did you know about it? Did you ask someone who did the jumping?
Well, I went about 3.5 inches off the ground in the old Garden versus 3 elsewhere.
Ellison called for his second, and the Celtics over the limit, so Oakley will shoot 2.
In the April 7th 17th issue of Sports Illustrated, there's a tremendous story about the Boston Garden, and I was looking at it earlier, and John Havlicek recalls the criticism of the locker rooms and how cold it was in the visiting locker rooms. And again, the inference was that the Celtics locker room was warm, and John said, hey, I went out and checked one time, and there was a 12-inch pipe which delivered the heat. He said it was about 20 feet closer to the Celtics locker room than the visiting locker room, and he said that was no great edge. Our locker room was the same. There's great memories here as this building is examined now, really under the microscope, particularly this weekend.
Well, I think what occurred because of the great success of the Celtics, and at times the arrogance shown by Red Auerbach, the mystique grew even further, and people were just looking for more reasons to hate the Celtics during their glory days, although some of that information is accurate. Oakley's outlet nearly picked off. Mason with the save and then went behind the back, through the foul, won't count. What a spectacular move. It's an offensive foul. Anthony Mason with an action-packed sequence, but he's called for the offensive foul.
Charles Oakley finds Anthony. Anthony beats one, and Purvis Ellison is in his way. And Mason with a very strong finish.
And that's an offensive foul the other way. Dino Raja called on the foul as Mason hit the floor.
I'd say Anthony Mason has his game face on tonight. There's no let up in Anthony.
Boston with a 27-20 lead. We're in the final minute of the first quarter. Ellison jumping out on the switch. Here is Oakley. Yes. Charles Oakley, one of the Knicks heroes down the stretch last night in Charlotte, showing us the outside touch.
In a very unlikely situation, Charles with 20 seconds to go last night as Dino Raja works it out well inside. With 20 seconds to go, the game tied. The Knicks design a play, and who does it go to but Charles Oakley? Pat Riley spotted Del Curry matched up on him. Shorter Curry at 6'5", and Charles went to work with a three-point play.
Down to 10 seconds remaining in the quarter. Davis for three. Yes. Rupert Davis has had a number of outstanding games here at the Boston Garden. Final seconds. Douglas stripped by Anthony. Anthony gets it off, but too late. After one here in Boston, it's the Celtics 29, the Knicks 25.
UPS, moving at the speed of business.
Well, looking back at great moments here at the Boston Garden, we flash back to April 20th, 1986. Michael Jordan putting on a show. Game 2, first round of the playoffs. The Celtics beat the Bulls in overtime, 135-131, actually double overtime. And Michael with 63 points, the most ever scored here in the Boston Garden.
Boy, does he look different in that shot.
A youthful looking Michael Jordan. Second quarter is underway. Oakley and rebounded by Ellison. The Celtics with Douglas and Brown at the guards. Ellison, Raja, and Wilkins up front. Celtics lead 29-25. Marv Albert with John Andres from the Boston Garden. Ellison was open, fouled by Oakley. So Purvis Ellison to the free throw line. Purvis missing the entire preseason and the first 19 games this year due to the rehabilitation of both knees. It has been a injury-hit career for Purvis Ellison.
Purvis has only played in now 54 of their 81 games, only 11 starts, and the frustrations continue, although the fact that he's on the court is a positive, so the Celtics can only hope that it continues into next season.
Purvis coming on a bit earlier tonight because of the 3 fouls collected by Eric Montross. Starks trying the three-pointer, rebounded by Oakley. Pat Riley now has John Starks back on the floor. He's at the point guard, playing the guard position along with Hubert Davis. Davis got the step. Davis, nice move, able to extend to prevent the block. And the Knicks are down by 4. For those of you who may have just joined us, Herb Williams started instead of Patrick Ewing. Greg Anthony making his first start of the season, subbing for the injured Derek Harper. Raja, and he was fouled by Bonner. Patrick Ewing bothered by a strained hamstring. The injury was actually sustained in practice on Wednesday, and Derek Harper with a sore right ankle, and he says he heard it in the game against Milwaukee at the Garden on Monday night. Knicks are hoping that Patrick Ewing will be able to play Sunday against Shaquille O'Neal and the Orlando Magic. Derek Harper was placed on the injured list, but the Knicks say it should not be a concern. They wanted to get Charlie Ward the opportunity for some action, so Charlie comes off the injured list, and he has been reactivated.
Dino Raja, the 6'11" big man for the Celtics, creating problems again for the Knicks.
And Raja extends to a 32-27 lead. The Knicks, with the win last night against the Hornets, clinched home court advantage through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So they'll have the advantage for a potential second-round matchup. Travel is called on Bonner. The one-time New York Knick, the X-Man Xavier McDaniel, has come on for the first time. It's McDaniel with Ellison and Raja. Douglas and Brown in the backcourt. Here's Sherman Douglas off the dribble. And it is last touched by the Knicks.
Feeling around here, Marv, is that the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel, has been the most consistent Celtic player this season. Coming off the bench most of the way, but as Knicks fans might recall, he is valued as an off-court asset to a team as well.
And the Celtics felt, particularly when they hit a down period earlier this season, it was Xavier's passion, particularly during practice sessions, that was able to get them right back into it. This is a Boston club that at one point had lost 6 in a row. They looked to be done. Nice work off the offensive boards. Ellison again. Can't hit, though. And finally rebounded by Mason. Mason for Starks for 3. Rebound, Mason lost it to Ellison.
John Starks had a wide open Hubert Davis to his right.
Oh, D. Brown finishing it off. The Celtics lead 34-27.
He's a man who understands the sport and appreciates good play. Bill Walton, your associate on NBC broadcasts quite often, Marv.
Bill very excited about being on hand here at the Boston Garden. Hubert Davis hitting the 3, and it's a 4-point Boston lead. You know, Bill talks more frequently of his days with the Celtics than he does of the Portland Trailblazers, and I think most folks think of him as a Trailblazer.
And he likes to think of himself as a Celtic, joining in this rich tradition. Well, he loves the sport. He's the purist of basketball, and pure play and team play are what characterized what has gone on in this building all these years.
Sherman Douglas was called for that foul. Substitution for the Celtics. Greg Minor, the rookie from Louisville, has checked in for the first time, and he is guarding Davis. 3.5 gone by in the second quarter. Hubert Davis, he just loves to play here at the Boston Garden.
In their last meeting here on March 8th, Hubert led the Knicks with 22 points in 29 minutes with a terrific shooting exhibition.
And a timeout is taken, 22nd timeout. With 8:25 remaining. In this first half, Larry Bird looking on intently. The Celtics now lead by 1. 6-0 run by the Knicks. Dennis Johnson, another man who has had his number retired.
Dennis now an assistant coach with the Celtics on the bench with the injured Rick Fox next to him.
Yes, Rick Fox going down, requiring ankle surgery. David Wesley has been playing well as a backup point guard, and sometimes starter is out after knee surgery. Roger turned it over. Rupert Davis has been on fire. He's 4 of 4 from the field, 3 of 3 from downtown. And the foul against the Knicks. Offensive foul. It's on Charles Smith. That's 2 on Smith.
That reaction by Pat Riley was directed at the official.
McDaniel went to the fadeaway. Ellison able to cash in on the tip.
Well, Herb Williams to Ellison moving in, unguarded, not boxed out.
Boston has a 3-point lead. Davis. That's his first miss. D. Brown putting the speed on, leading Minor, and he's fouled. Bonner going for the rejection. Called for the foul. So that's 2 on Bonner. And Greg Minor will go to the line. Greg Minor, first-round draft pick of the Los Angeles Clippers, was traded to Indiana in that Mark Jackson, Pooh Richardson, Malik Sealy deal. And then came over to the Boston Celtics. There's Anthony Mason back, replacing Anthony Bonner. Greg Minor, known as a clutch player in college at Louisville.
Saw the numbers on him leading the NBA rookies in foul shooting at 83% this year.
Shot clock is at 8. Minor guarding Davis. Trying to do it off the dribble. Smith. And Smith going to the drive through the foul. Timeout being taken by the Celtics with 6:57 left in the half. Up top with Mike Green. 6:45 to go in this second quarter. Herb Williams missing on the follow, and it's rebounded by Derek Strong. Strong with McDaniel and Raja on the front line. Brown and Minor in the backcourt. Raja guarded by Smith. Oh, he dropped it after it. Well, I think he got away with a double dribble there.
Yes, Jack Neese, the official, indicated it was knocked out of his hands.
Jack was screened. Nino just dropped the ball. Steve Brown with the deflection, but Starks able to recover. Strong with the rebound.
Starks tried a Sam Jones jump shot off the backboard. Didn't go.
McDaniel called for steps. Sherman Douglas checking back in. Greg Anthony coming on. Sherman Douglas considered by people here in Boston as the Celtics' most valuable player. He's had a terrific year in spite of the fact that the front office had signed David Wesley, who, as we mentioned earlier, is on the injured list, hoping that Wesley would win the starting job.
Wesley gives the ball up readily, a criticism aimed at often at the play of Sherman Douglas, who was always associated with keeping the ball in his hands a little too long.
McDaniel, and he tips it home. And also had some words for Anthony Mason. Could be a taunting technical foul. Let's see. No delay of game. Xavier and Anthony have had their exchanges. That is simply called a delay of game on McDaniel. 5:25 remaining first half. Boston with a 7-point lead. Shot clock is at 3. And Davis trying to squeeze his way through, was fouled. Took a hit from Roger. Correction, Minor picks up the foul. John, getting back to the subject of Sherman Douglas, Chris Ford very upset over the years with what he felt was a lack of conditioning on the part of Sherman Douglas. In fact, he has considered making him run laps at times during practice earlier in the season while the team would go through shooting drills. And it was thought that Sherman would not get a true shot at the starting point guard job, but Wesley, who had it for a while, was injured, and Douglas took over, and it turns out that it's been a terrific move for the Celtics. McDaniel on the foul to put Smith at the line.
Chris Ford, the man patrolling the sidelines for the Celtics, has been the subject of a will he or won't he be here next year. Now, last time we were here in Boston in early March, that was a hot topic. Celtics have won 10 of their last 14, and the subject doesn't come up anymore. Funny what winning does.
Well, there's still speculation that the Detroit Pistons are interested in Chris Ford, and we'll see how that all plays out. But as you say, things have turned around with Celtics playing so well these past few weeks. McDaniel rejected by Smith. Charles Smith for Greg Anthony. Nice return, and Smith is fouled. Pinpoint passing between Smith and Anthony. Minor on the foul.
Fine moments for Charles Smith. Must be a little extra pleasure also blocking Xavier McDaniel jump shot. And then Charles leading the break and giving the ball up wisely as he got it over half court, and then getting it in return because he kept moving to the basket.
Smith is now 4 of 5 at the line.
Knicks doing a better job of not buying the fakes of their opponents in the last couple of games. And Charles did a fine job with patience on that play.
Celtics 40 and the Knicks 36. Celtics have lost the last 10 straight to the Knicks. Roger, played by Williams. Roger with the baseline move. Dino Raja showing the quick step.
Well, we talked about the mobility of a lot of opponents of the Knicks lately. The front line opponents moving quicker than the Knicks big men, and there was an example.
Boston leads by 6. 4 minutes to go in this first half. Herb Williams with a wild hook attempt, and a foul is called against Boston. Dominique Wilkins, Steve Brown getting set to check back in. Derek Strong called on that foul. Celtics are over the limit, and Anthony Mason to the line.
Well, in 3:56, 3 minutes and 56 seconds at the end of the first half, there will be a very special scene here on the court at the Boston Garden, which we will be happy to present to our viewers. The lineup of ex-greats will be out here on the court, passing the ball from one to the other in a rather dramatic demonstration of the presence of the great Celtics of the past.
Yes, Red Auerbach and 23 retired Celtics, I'm told, will conclude the ceremony by forming a line across the Garden parquet and then passing a basketball up and back with the last player. We're not sure who that will be. Will it be Larry Bird? Will it be Bill Russell? Then shooting the ball.
Celtics famed leader Red Auerbach, as you saw, sitting in the stands. Red, the president of the Celtics, general manager for years, their inspirational coach, and the man who knew how to develop specialists in basketball. Something that he is so closely associated with, the specialties of athletes and pulling them all together for one goal.
Apparently a technical foul was called on the Celtics. And we're trying to find out why the technical was called. There is some speculation that Boston attempted what is termed an illegal substitution. Chris Ford looking for an explanation. Now the officials over at the public address announcer. And perhaps here it is.
Which occurred before Hubert Davis's foul shot was on number 31, Derek Strong.
Well, the technical was called on Derek Strong. So it had nothing to do with an illegal substitution. That was the first word we received, but Strong is called for the tee. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the first half, and the Celtics lead 42-38. Wilkins with Raja and McDaniel up front. Douglas and Brown in the backcourt. Raja. Raja with a nice ball fake, and then able to hit is 9 points. Boston leads by 6. Traveling violation on Greg Anthony. The basket will not count. If the Boston Celtics can win tonight, they will clinch that 8th and final playoff position, or a Milwaukee loss would do it. The Bucks are playing the Cavaliers in Cleveland tonight. Good play by Anthony to break it up. Anthony at the end of the break.
Nice lead pass from Anthony Mason.
The head-to-head record is the first tiebreaker, and the season series between Milwaukee and Boston is in favor of the Bucks, 3-1. So should they finish in a tie, Milwaukee would get the spot. That would mean Boston losing its final 2, losing tonight, and then losing to the Nets, and Milwaukee winning its final 2. Here's Mason. So the Knicks cut it to a 2-point lead with 2:35 remaining in the first half. And the crowd trying to get the Celtics going. Douglas with the spin, and he's fouled up top by Anthony. The basket will not count. Now the Knicks take a timeout. Boston by 2. We'll be right back.
So there's 365 days in a Another 6 doing things you don't want to for someone else who doesn't appreciate it. 1 day brushing your teeth, 2 days combing your hair, 3
ceremonies. Bob working the TV side along with Tommy Heinsohn.
Bob, a man who loved the game. I always remember him telling me, Marv, when I was at his summer camp back in the late 50s, how happy he was when the 24-second clock came into existence. He said, I used to have to dribble the ball. Remember when there'd be 3 or 4 minutes left in the game and the team would have a 3-point lead and Kuz would have to freeze the ball and dribble, and just to wear him out, he said. So happy the clock came into existence.
Well, thankfully, Danny Biasone, the one-time owner of the Syracuse Nats, conceived the 24-second clock because the game had major problems because of the freeze and the fact that if you had a strong team like the Celtics and they could mount the big lead, you couldn't catch them. They just hold the ball. Charles Smith. And rebounded by Dominique Wilkins. Here's Sherman Douglas sweeping by. The Celtics 46. The Knicks 42 with 1:40 left in this first half. Anthony with the open 3. Yes. Greg Anthony from downtown, and the Celtics lead by 1. Douglas, wild shot. Sherman Douglas with 12 points. What a shot by Douglas.
Sherman has the ability to do the spectacular, and we're seeing it here in the first half.
Celtics lead by 3. 1 minute left in the half. Mason held by Raja. So Mason back to the line. 4 of 6 at the line.
A look at Sherman Douglas on the last hoop for the Celtics. All of a sudden there was no lane for him to continue moving through, so he faded back and still beat the taller people with that shot.
So Anthony Mason will shoot a couple.
7 of 9 from the line last night. Mason was very dependable at the foul line and everywhere else on the court for the Knicks.
Herb Williams making his return. Charles Smith departing, leaves with 5 points. High scorer for the Knicks is Hubert Davis with 12. For the Celtics, Douglas with 12. Wilkins has 10. Boston with the ball. They lead by 2. Douglas got the step. Roger not able to tip it. And here comes Starks. John Starks pushing it down for Charles Oakley. Got it to Anthony Mason.
John took a long time to get that pass. He had Oakley in front of him when he got to half court, way in front of him.
Dominic Wilkins stripped on the spin by Charles Oakley, and a foul call. Dee Brown not allowing the shot. So John Starks to the foul line with 25 seconds remaining in the half.
John and Charles Oakley discussing something. How long the pass took to get to Charles in that last fast break.
The Knicks wrap up the regular season back at the Garden Sunday afternoon against the Orlando Magic. Orlando has won 3 of 4 against the Knicks this season.
But are they having problems on the road? Orlando with a 6-game losing streak on the road.
Game is tied at 48. The Knicks, on the other hand, an outstanding road team, the best record in the Eastern Conference away from home, 25 and 15. Celtics holding for a final shot. Douglas coming up short, played very well by Anthony. Anthony with a lead that is off the mark. 5/10 of a second remaining in the half. So Boston led a good portion of the way here in the first half, but the Knicks able to come from behind, and the game is tied at 48. And that'll do it. Sherman Douglas had it waved off. Only a deflection would have counted with 5/10 of a second remaining. We'll have the halftime ceremony in just a moment. For this, the final regular season game played at the Boston Garden for the Boston Celtics. We'll be right back.
At Nobody Beats the Wiz, car stereo never sounded so good. So get behind the wheel, crank up the tunes, and love life. It's gonna be a long ride.
Nobody beats Long Island Diamond prices. My dad got my mom's ring here.
Long Island Diamond saves you a lot of money.
We got the diamond we wanted at the price we wanted.
Long Island Diamond has a world-class selection of all sizes, shapes, and price ranges.
Come to where everything Jeep is in plentiful supply right here at East Hills Jeep Eagle in Roslyn. Hi, I'm Bob Nystrom for my good friends at East Hills Jeep Eagle in Roslyn. Whether you want to buy or lease the luxurious and practical Jeep Grand Cherokee or the sporty Jeep Wrangler, the car that legends are made of, you're certain to find the best deals anywhere right here at East Hills Jeep Eagle in Roslyn. East Hills Jeep Eagle in Roslyn. Big selection, low prices, and plenty of smiling faces.
There
There is a place pilots talk about, but few have ever been. It's a place where training, aircraft design, indeed a pilot's ability to stay cool, are put to the absolute test. Presenting The Challenge of Flight, an exclusive new series that takes you where no aviation videos have ever gone before. Start with Final Approach. Be there when it all goes wrong, when raw power, fear, and the ejection seat is all the pilot has left. In incredible detail and first-hand accounts, you'll see what happens low and slow over a pitching carrier deck. Gear up with nowhere to go. And in the bunker when you test how bad it can be. Be an eyewitness to history as you watch exclusive footage declassified and released here for the very first time. Order your copy of Final Approach and go where few pilots have ever been before.
Use your credit card and call 1-800-305-9966. Other tapes will follow. Cancel anytime. There's no obligation. Call 1-800-305-9966 now.
American Express card. Keep adding up. Every time you use the card, you can earn miles. Miles that add up to free vacations, free flights, free adventures. The Membership Miles program. It's our way of saying thank you for using the American Express card. Enroll today. You've earned it. To enroll or to apply for a card, call 1-800-AX-MILES.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Let's begin at the beginning.
Welcome back to the Boston Garden. Marv Albert with John Andres at halftime. The Knicks and the Celtics are tied at 48. The ceremony's getting underway, commemorating the final regular season game for the Celtics here on the parquet at the Boston Garden. And the MC for the festivities from Channel 7 here in Boston, John Dennis. Let's pick it up.
Overwhelming that the NBA has named its Coach of the Year award after him. This is the man truly responsible for our celebration here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Red Auerbach. Tonight, for such a tiny man, this guard had a giant impact on the game of basketball. This Hall of Famer helped lead the Celtics to the 1981 NBA championship. The only man ever to lead the league in both assists and scoring in the same year, a six-time All-Star, Nate Tiny Archibald. We got a long way to go, folks. An eight-time All-Star who was considered by many to be the greatest shooter of his era. This Hall of Famer was affiliated with 12 NBA championships, including 4 as a Celtic. He was the MVP of the 1955 All-Star game, battling Bill Sharman. Don't die, do they, Bill? Long before Bo and Dion played two sports, this gentleman successfully toiled in both baseball and basketball. He is the only individual in history to win world championships in 2 separate sports. He was an all-star pitcher for the Milwaukee Braves and a 3-time champion with the Boston Celtics, Gene Conley.
8 Celtic championship teams during his career, he was known as the league's greatest defensive forward. He was an Iron Man who appeared in a one-time Celtic record of 459 consecutive games. His knowledge and his court savvy led to his eventual elevation to head coach of the Celtics, number 16, Tom Satch Sanders. Member of 7 Celtic World Championship teams, this intimidator was always among the league leaders in floor burns. A tenacious defender who averaged a double-double prior to being the first player in league history to return from back surgery, the only man to have his name retired to the rafters. Please welcome Lasky, Jim Laskatov. Celtic World Championships, a 5-time All-Star. He was one of the league's leaders in shooting or scoring every season between 1961 and 1966. Number 24, Sam Jones. Celtics famed 6-man role, swinging between guard and forward. He made his mark as a team player. He was one of the Celtics' deadliest free throw shooters of all time and a member of 7 Celtic championship squads. The Kentucky Colonel, Frank Ramsey. Averages in scoring and rebounding in each of his first 6 seasons in the NBA. He was among the league leaders in scoring during his 2 championship seasons with the Celtics in '68 and '69. He was always known as one of the classiest players in the league. Buckshot Bailey Howell. This 7-time NBA All-Star was the MVP of the 1976 NBA Finals, the second of his 2 championship rings with the Boston Celtics. During his career, he led the Celtics in scoring, assists, and steals, while totaling a Celtic record of 488 consecutive games. Number 10, Joe White. Performance in the inaugural 1951 Classic at the Garden. He was consistently among the league leaders in scoring and led the NBA in field goal percentage in 1954. He was the very first Celtic elected to the Hall of Fame. Number 22, Easy, Ed Macaulay. World champion Celtics. He was one of the pioneer guards to combine both outstanding height with outstanding quickness. He averaged more than 17 points a game, a 3-time All-Star, and an Olympic gold medalist, the thin man, Charlie Scott. best passing big man in the game's history. He was the MVP of the NBA during his first title run in 1978. He won the NBA Six-Man Award during the Celtics' 1986 banner season. A two-time All-Star, Bill Walton. During this man's career, when the Celtics needed to shut down an opponent, they turned to this swingman. His harassing defense led the NBA in steals in 1979. One of the most energetic people ever to wear the green, he helped Boston capture 2 titles. Start waving your towels for M.L. Carr. This 5-time Celtic world champion was the league leader in field goal percentage in 1975. He has participated in more games as a player and head coach than any individual in the history of the NBA. He's the winner of an unprecedented 3 NBA Coach of the Year awards. Number 19, John Nelson. In 1957. The Hall of Famer was a starting forward on 8, count them 8 Celtic World Championship teams and the head coach of 2 more. He played in the All-Star game 6 times, Coach of the Year in 73, number 15, Tommy Gunn, Tommy Heinsohn. This clutch all-around performer was a 13-time All-Star and is the Celtics' all-time leader in games, minutes, and points scored. He was selected to the NBA's 35th anniversary team 3 years prior to his election to the Hall of Fame. Number 17, Hondo John Havlicek. The MVP of the Celtics' 1981 championship series, he was also a member of the 1984 team. He led the NBA in shooting in both 78 and 79. He stands as the most accurate marksman in the history of the Celtics. He always kept his team loose. Cedric Cornbread. Greatest player he ever played with on a team. The 5-time All-Star helped Boston win the 84 and the 86 NBA crowns. His number 3 will forever soar above the floor. DJ Dennis Johnson. The MVP of the 1979 Celtics, he was the first player in league history to hit a 3-point shot. His inspiration guided the Celtics to the 1981 NBA championship, a deadly outside shooter who once played in an amazing 417 consecutive games, head coach Chris Ford. This next man absolutely revolutionized the way the game was played. Creativity and originality were his trademarks. He was an all-star 13 times, an MVP season in 1957. This Hall of Famer guided the Celtics to 6 world championships. Number 14, Bob Cousy. During his Rookie of the Year campaign, this Celtic helped orchestrate the largest single-season turnaround in the history of the NBA. 3-time MVP, an All-Star 12 times, 3 times a world champion, number 33, Larry Bird. Revolutionary defense led to his selection as the league's MVP 5 times. He is the holder of countless rebounding marks and collected the 2nd most boards in league history. This Hall of Famer was a 12-time All-Star, including the game's MVP in '63, a member of the Celtics team which collected 11 league championships in 13 years. Here he is, number 6, Bill Russell. We've got time for one question. Your Celtic family, your extended Celtic family is gathered here tonight as the days are dwindling in this old building. As you look around and you see everybody from Russell to Bird and everybody in between, what does the old patriarch think about all of this? What you've accomplished, what this team has accomplished?
Well, all I can say is this. The Celtics don't want you to. They not only were great players, great athletes, but they lived up to all the standards of what the Celtics stands for. They're great people, great family man. I love every one of them.
Now, Red, if you would join me down here, as the patriarch of this Boston Celtics franchise, we think it's only fitting that you should come down to the visitors' bench and inbounds the basketball and start what I can best describe as the all-time Celtic fast break. Red, you begin with Tiny. Red goes to Tiny. Tiny. Into Gene Conley. Over to Losky. Don't take a charge, Losky. Over to Easy Ed. Easy Ed to Walton. Walton to Bailey Howell. Bailey Hall to Frank. Charlie Scott. DJ in the middle. ML. Don Nelson. JoJo. Over to Matt. Down to Sam. Tommy Heinsohn. No, Tommy. Bill Sharman. Sharman's thinking about it. He passes it up into Satch. Satch to Kuz. Kuz goes behind his back to Bill Russell. Russell to Havlicek. He stole the ball. No, he can't steal the ball. Get back there. Into Larry. Gentlemen. Team picture.
Wonderful moments here at the Boston Garden, the ceremony taking place at halftime of the Knicks Celtic game, which is tied at 48. For this, the finale in regular season play for the Boston Celtics here at the Boston Garden. The team photo being taken at center court. Emotional moments for fans here in Boston. Mike Crispino at the MSG Sports Desk coming up.
All right, thanks very much, Marv. A tough act to follow, certainly, the great Celtics and that tradition of winning at Boston Garden. Now, only a couple of games with playoff implications around the league right now. One in Cleveland, where the Cavaliers are trying to hold on to the 6th spot in the East. The Bucks clinging to slim hopes themselves, needing a daily double. 2 Celtic losses and 2 Milwaukee victories would put the Bucks into the playoffs. Right now, they are trailing Cleveland, however, 62-46 as they play in the 3rd quarter. Mike Dunleavy's team fell behind early and fell behind by plenty. Tyrone Hill had a huge first quarter with 8 points. Here taking the feed. The Bucks defense non-existent. For Bobby Phills, the assist. Tyrone Hill, the bucket. Later on, Chris Mills would find Tyrone Hill. Great give and go. And the big lead by 6 after 1 for Mike Fratello and the Cavaliers. Then in the second, Mark Price going outside to Danny Ferry. Wide open. Cans the 3. A 53-33 lead at halftime. Again, 62-46 as they played the 3rd quarter. The Detroit Pistons going nowhere fast, even with Rookie of the Year candidate Grant Hill at Atlanta tonight. Atlanta currently running 7th in the East, and looks like that's where they're going to finish. 86-64. They are leading Detroit right now. Steve Smith had 21 in the first half. Joe Dumars not playing in that game. The Nets season mercifully coming to an end. They are leading Washington 71-70 at the Meadowlands as we speak. The Nets are often the most hospitable of hosts. Right now they are leading by 1. Kenny Anderson had 17 in the first half for New Jersey. We'll be back with more from the Sports Desk after these words.
Sports Desk is brought to you by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of road in Alamo territory, and with Alamo, all those miles are free.
Is it
like
Swing in Denver, losing to the Colorado Rockies 4-3 this afternoon. They return to Florida to play the Mets tomorrow. Mets continued their torrid play in Florida at West Palm, beating the Expos 3-1. Bobby Jones went 5 innings, 1 run, and 2 hits allowed in that game. Jeff Kent had 2 hits and 2 runs batted in. And the Whalers and the Capitals in Washington tonight, a game with implications for the Rangers. The two teams are tied at 1. Peter Bondra had his 27th of the year to tie the game at 1 in the second period. Back to Boston Garden for the second half after these words.
John Starks makes 3 points for Minolta. Point 1 is fun. Minolta's 135DX. Watch it zoom. Point 2 is for you. Free your creative eye with this 400SI. It's automatic. Point 3 is a breeze. To replay my play, what's in order? Minolta's camcorder. And every 3 points I hit, Minolta sinks $100 into my foundation, helping high school kids.
Only from the mind of Minolta.
And John Starks.
The rewards of using the American Express card keep adding up. Every time you use the card, you can earn miles. Miles that add up to free vacations, free flights, free adventures. The Membership Miles program. It's our way of saying thank you for using the American Express card. Enroll today. You've earned it. To enroll or to apply for a card, call 1-800-AX-MILES.
Dear car owners, from our low-cost economizers to muff
that you get something more with our low prices.
Hubert Davis, the only Knick in double figures with 12. Anthony Mason with 9, 7 apiece for Starks and Anthony. And Sherman Douglas, high point man for the Celtics with 12. Dominique Wilkins with 10 points. Eric Montross hitting on 2, and it's a 50-48 Celtic lead. And this, the final regular season game ever for the Boston Celtics at the Boston Garden. And we are joined by one of the all-time greats in the history of the NBA as John Starks is able to tie the game at 50. And that is Bob Cousy. And we noted perhaps a little emotion out there on your part as you greeted Red Auerbach during the ceremony.
Well, a lot of years, Marv, obviously have floated by too quickly. I started here in '46, believe it or not, with Holy Cross. So never mind the 13 years with the Celtics and the 22 years as a broadcaster. So a lot of wonderful memories.
Charles Oakley cuts it to a 53-52 Boston lead. Are you unhappy that the Celtics are leaving the Boston Garden? Obviously, we have to have some degree of progress, and in terms of the entertainment dollar, it's understandable moving to the new stadium. But would you have liked to have seen the Celtics?
Oh, without question. I'm a real traditionalist, and you know, intellectually, I understand we need a new facility. It's the only major market in the country that doesn't have a spanking brand new building. But emotionally, I wish they'd leave it up till they put me in that pine box, Marv. I'd like to be fighting the big rats and the cold and everything else for a few more years.
Bob, a parquet box, please.
Whatever. Whatever's fair, right?
We were talking earlier about the alleged dead spots on the floor. I know it was Celtic legend that you would kind of guide visiting players into those areas. Would you clear that up for us?
That's another one of those myths that could fall into garbage time, I think, Marv. Can you imagine in a fast-moving game worrying about where the dead spot is and trying to guide a player into it? It just doesn't happen that way, but it makes for a good story.
Charles Oakley for the Knicks, and the Celtics now lead 56-54.
Cruz, I was telling Marv earlier in the game about a recollection of a conversation with you back at Camp Greylag, your camp in New Hampshire some years ago, where I had the privilege of knowing you and playing with you, I should say, even more so. But I remember you pointing out how happy you were when the 24-second clock came into existence, how you used to get worn down in the freeze situations. Do you recall those moments?
Yeah, I still have the scars to help me to recall, because, you know, we used to start holding on to the ball in the last 8 or 9, 10 minutes if you had a lead. And the only way to get it back was to foul or tackle that poor little skinny guy with the hairy legs out there. So, no, despite the points it put on my board, I was very happy when they went to the 24-second.
Dominique Wilkins extending to a 58-54 Boston lead with 2.5 gone by in this third quarter. Marv Albert with John Andres from the Boston Garden. We are joined by one-time Celtic great by way of Jamaica, Queens, Bob Cousy. Nice move by Charles Smith, and the Celtics now lead by 2. Bob, as you look at this Boston team, which is on the verge of deep round, we have red-hot shooting here in this third quarter. The magic number is 1 to clinch that 8th and final playoff spot. Do you think it is a good thing for this club to make the playoffs, or do you think they would have been better off going to the lottery?
Well, if I were coaching it, psychologically, the marketing people feel that, you know, they want to make playoffs. They're going into a new building next year. They got to sell tickets, as we all know. This is a business. So from that standpoint, yes, they want to make playoffs. I don't think it's a good thing at all, because if they drop from potentially 6 or 7 to 14, a team that desperately needs as much help as they can get, my judgment is they should try. You know, we talk like you can plan these things. You can't, Mark. The front office can talk about it. The coaches have to play to win, because the slightest deviation from that, people think, well, the coaches can play games. I don't believe you can do that without allowing the players to know what you're doing. So coaches have to do their thing and try to win every game. But unless you're in a lottery when you're rebuilding, in my judgment, I think there's been too much expansion. I think too many teams, not enough talent, and as a result, when you go to the bottom, it's like not the old days when our friend Arnold was doing his magic with only 8 teams. With 27, soon to be 29, forget it. It can take 10 or 15 years before you rebuild.
Eric Montross able to hit for a 62-56 Celtic lead. We'll continue our conversation with Bob Cousy in just a moment. A 20-second timeout has been called with 8:19 remaining in the fourth quarter. And on the subject of Bob Cousy, this is vintage footage of number 14 of the 62 NBA Finals.
All in black and white, as you can see. Didn't have any color in those days. And I'm surprised that still hasn't disintegrated into little pieces.
Bob, I want to see the hook shot, though. That's what I so often think of when I recall the great days when you were charming the world here on the court.
Left-handed hook shots. You'd give 2 years of your life to make a left-handed hook shot, right?
but you did it so many times. Bob, is it possible for you, with all the great moments here, for you to choose a moment or two that you feel were very special in your career here in the Boston
Well,
Garden?
obviously, you know, my day in '63 was a highly emotional day. My folks, who are both gone now, were here. My daughters, my wife, etc. A lot of close friends. 13 years with the same team, a close relationship in those days. When they talk about Celtic mystique, as far as I'm concerned, with any of the teams when we played, you had, I think, without question, it wasn't a business. You had emotional ties to ownership, to the coach, to your teammates. You know, the guys today would say, well, it's no different. It was a lot different. So when it came to retire in '63, there was, you know, it took me 20 minutes to get through a 3-minute speech. I just couldn't contain myself. Winning the first championship here, obviously, we worked 7 long years, and that was very meaningful. I was married, God, how long ago? 40. My wife wouldn't like to hear me say that. 45 years ago. Got married in the morning and played here at night against Syracuse. So, you know, a lot of very personal memories are tied up into this building, and that's the reason I said what I said earlier. I wish it could stay around for another 20 years or so. I wish I could, too.
Celtics with a 5-point lead as Sherman Douglas is able to put it high off glass, and it's now Boston 64 and New York 57.
Bob, putting you back on the floor, we'll turn the pages back. Bill Russell leading the way, you and Sharman, Tommy Heinsohn, your teammates in today's game. I know many people would wonder, as Greg Anthony shows the touch getting better and better, do you see yourself prevailing with this team in today's game?
You know, the eternal argument, John, you know, could in any sport, could you play now? I think without, I'm not an old-timer that thinks we were better than today's player. I don't think there's any question. But the players generally are bigger, better, stronger in what they do. They seem to do with more facility. When I jumped as high as I could, I'd get the bottom of the net. When Michael jumps as high, he jumps over the damn backboard. So, you know, I don't think there's any question. On the other hand, that unit, in my judgment, was the best, perhaps, team that's ever been put together. You know, and when they say, could you play today? You know, any Hall of Famers, I think, in the various sports could play today. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys playing now. Remember, we had 8 teams only, so that the talent was completely concentrated. The last 2 or 3 guys on every team, in my judgment, couldn't have made the league back then. So.
Which 5 are you talking about?
I think it was the '61 team. When Sharman and I were starting, we had 2 Hall of Famers backing us up in Casey and Sam. Gene Conley was backing up Russell, Frank Frank Ramsey was doing his wonderful stuff as the sixth man.
Bob, thank you for coming by and sharing your thoughts.
Always a pleasure, Mark.
Bob Cousy will be back in a moment.
$5 a day. Marshmallows not included.
6:48 remaining third quarter. Celtics with a 4-point lead on the Knicks. Brown's pass broken up and recovered by Wilkins. Dominique to the he fed off to Strong. Looked like he was going up for the fadeaway, and he fooled the Knicks by finding Derek Strong. Boston leads by 6 points.
Dominique throwing the sneaky pass. All the Knicks thought, well, Dominique always shoots that ball when he can, but how wrong they were.
Charles Oakley rebounded by Dino Raja. Brown for Strong. Derek Strong beating the Knicks down court. 8-point lead for the Celtics. John Starks cuts it to 6. 13 points for Starks. Wilkins backing Mason and lost it off the double team by Anthony. Shot clock is at 8. Anthony. Oakley trying to chase it down. Oh, he got cut off by D. Brown. And Oakley felt that he was fouled by Brown.
Both players committed to effort, D. Brown and Charles Oakley.
Strong looking to post up on Starks. Strong with a wild shot. New 24 for the Celtics. Brown for 3. And Mason with the rebound. Anthony Mason protecting the dribble against Derek Strong. Here's Greg Anthony. Yes, a 3 for Anthony. He has 13 points, and it brings the Knicks within 3. Greg Anthony making his first start of the season. Starting for the injured Derek Hopper, who is placed on the injured list. Stepped out of bounds. Although Derek will be all right for the playoffs. The Knicks looking to activate Charlie Ward, hoping that they can get Charlie some playing time. Herb Williams. Departing, there's Charlie Ward. So it is Oakley with Bonner and Mason on the front line.
Knicks are getting used to Anthony Mason as their post-up player in Ewing's absence.
Bonner gets it out for Starks for 3. Bonner again. Anthony Bonner so active and very effective on the offensive board. Foul is called on Strong, flashing the elbow.
Mason's quickness wins that battle and drawing the foul. Anthony posting up again down low.
4 fouls on Derek Strong.
Celtics make a switch now with Raja on Mason.
Oakley. And Wilkins to the rebound. Boston with the ball. They lead by 3. Magic number for clinching a playoff spot for the Celtics is 1. Wild shot by Douglas. Oh.
Terrific defense by Greg Anthony, though, not allowing him the space he wanted.
Crowd looking for the travel on Anthony, who did not walk. Oakley lost it. Picked off by Anthony. Sends a pop fly to Starks, who's able to finish it off. And the Knicks are down by only 1. have done a nice job here tonight when you consider the absence of Patrick Ewing and Derek Hopper, and the fact that the game does not have significance for them. Here's Anthony on the break with strong back. Anthony goes right at him and is fouled. Brown called for the foul. Nice change of pace dribble by Greg Anthony. 2:58 remaining. In the third, the Celtics lead by 1.
Well, replacement ball's all over with. What are your thoughts today?
Hey, man, I tell you, I don't think I got a fair shot, you know. My curveball was just starting to come around.
Of all the ways you can furnish your home, one of the most beautiful ways is with Anderson feature windows and patio doors. Elegant designs bring the warmth of tradition, the comfort of nature. Ordinary furnishings create a look. Anderson windows create an experience.
Available in Nassau Suffolk Lumber. No one covers Long Island like Nassau Suffolk Lumber.
Where's Becker? Where's Becker? Becker is back.
Exchange or return information.
2:58 remaining, third quarter, and Greg Anthony has tied the game at 70. Marv Albert with John Andres. John, I've always said we need a third guy, and, you know, Bill Walton happens to be hanging around, and here he is.
By golly, Bill slid right in.
Hall of Famer Bill Walton, who received a tremendous reception from this crowd here in Boston. Get the chills when you heard it?
Most definitely, Marv, because Boston Garden, this team, this franchise is the team and the group of guys with Auerbach and Russell that brought me into basketball. As a young kid growing up in San Diego, watching the Celtics on the national broadcast back in the early and mid 60s, I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be a part of. And to come here and be a part of this team, so very special.
Nice move, Anthony Mason on the steal, feeding Greg Anthony, and the Knicks for the first time tonight have the lead. They're up by 3. Now, Bill, you played for the Celtics for 2 years. I know you were with them for 3 seasons. The other was injury hit. And I know you're very proud of what was accomplished in Portland, but I get the idea that what took place here in Boston has as much meaning as your days with the Portland Trailblazers.
I played my best basketball for the Blazers by far, as they're playing Jungle Jim on the rim out there, but I was absolutely the best player I ever was for the Trailblazers. But after the years of injuries and frustrations and the losing seasons all the time, year after year, to get to come back and be on a team like the Celtics, my batteries were just charged up again. I was just overjoyed to come to a championship situation, because when you play on a losing situation, you just have no fun playing, and it's just not a good part of your life, and you forget how much fun the guys like Larry Bird and Kevin McHale have all the time when they win those championships.
Bill, the influence on your life, when I look back at your career, of course, in college under the great John Wooden, and then Jack Ramsey at Portland, one of the game's committed people, and then, of course, under this Celtic umbrella, you've had the privilege of playing for and learning the game, which you so love to express so well, from the best, haven't you?
I think there's only one guy in all of basketball that's had better coaching than I've had, and that's Pat Riley. He's had more guys over a longer period of time. Of course, Pat is much older than I am, but he had the
hanging around Mark too long.
He had the Wilt Chamberlain and the Jerry West and Elgin Baylor teammates. He had Chick Kern. He had Adolph Rupp. He had basically everybody. He had Magic and Kareem.
Did Chick coach the Lakers for a while, Bill?
Chick coaches every game the Lakers have ever played.
I did not know that.
just the way you coached the Knicks, just the way Johnny Most coached the Celtics here.
Well, Marv, I must point out, I was on a players trip some years ago, and Bill was there, and Bill was a little off in the distance. I was talking to John Havlicek, among other people, was standing there, and John pointed to Bill and said, hadn't he had the injuries, this guy would have been the best big man ever, which is one of the great compliments, Bill.
I was so lucky. I had the terrific coaches, 6 Hall of Fame coaches, unbelievable teammates. Bird was the best of them, but guys like Maurice Lucas, Keith Wilkes and Greg Lee at UCLA, Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson here, of course, the Chief, Lionel Hollins. It was great, though, back in the locker room before the ceremony at halftime with Bill Russell, who was my favorite all-time player. Just to be near him is always very special for me, because he was a guy that changed basketball and played, I think, more than really anybody with his mind about how to control the game, because it's all about winning, and no one in any sport has ever had the success in terms of winning that Bill Russell has had.
13-0 run by the Knicks. Dominique Wilkins teeing it up.
Surprising that the Knicks can be playing so well with the huge victory last night in Charlotte, where I got to check out this broadcast.
Were you?
Well, I'm
you're looking.
I got the satellite dish in San Diego.
Critiquing John, as always.
I had to learn about the NBA from you guys.
Of course, right. Yeah.
But I'm out there watching the game. I can't believe it. Ewing goes out, Harper goes out, Charles Smith fouls out, they come back. And now they're winning here with all the ghosts of the Celtic past here bearing down on Riley's back. And can't believe there's been no complaints about the officiating tonight here.
Now the Knicks playing very well and now lead 77-70. The call away from the ball. It is on Greg Anthony. Yes, Pat Riley, who has had pleasant memories here at the Boston Garden and some very painful ones, would love to spoil the farewell party here tonight.
What's great about Riley is that this is the kind of thing that he would almost script for his life, that he would be the opposing coach to come in here and get a victory, which I didn't think would be possible at halftime. I thought that the Celtics would come out and just run away from a tired Knicks team, from a team, the Knicks without much on the line, without anything on the line tonight, and they're still out there playing with great pride the way the Celtics are supposed to be playing in this game.
Bill, you're working NBC, what, Saturday and Sunday? A little doubleheader action.
Yes, I've got a 6:30 flight in the morning to Chicago, and then we've got Michael Jordan and the Bulls versus the Charlotte Hornets tomorrow in a first-round playoff preview matchup tomorrow. And then right after the game, go straight to Phoenix and got the Pacific Division title on the line and the second overall seed in the playoffs with Seattle at Phoenix.
Bill selling those games, hyping the product.
That's what NBC does to
with the way Gary
people
Payton
like you
is playing.
and Bill Mark.
With the way Gary Payton is playing for the Seattle Super, even though he's got a broken finger, and I don't know how he can do this with a broken finger. He had a game the other night against the LA Lakers. It was just phenomenal. He had 21 points in the first 14 minutes of the game and just blasted Nick Van Exel, who normally has Payton's number.
Final seconds. Oh, what a move. Anthony Mason extends to the 79-71 lead, and that'll wrap things up. Hey, Bill, thanks so much for stopping by. Congratulations on being one of those honored here at halftime.
It's a thrill of a lifetime, particularly to be here on MSG, because I'm a big watcher, even though I'm from San Diego. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
John, would you say goodbye to Bill?
Bill, safe travel and have a great weekend. I know you will.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Dear Midas, we were on our way to see our new granddaughter. When my mother-in-law's muffler started roaring, she said,
"Let's go to a discount store."
I said, "Let's go to Midas." Well, she didn't even know she had a Midas muffler until Ray said,
"This is a Midas muffler. Do you have the guarantee?"
She checked her glove compartment, and sure enough,
"Oh, I found it."
Then the muffler was replaced free. Thanks for the honest service. Jan Parkinson.
David Caruso.
I've got no reason to lie.
Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm gonna beat you to death.
And Nicolas Cage.
Jeez, what you been eating?
In the movie Rolling Stone magazine calls a riveting piece of pulp fiction.
He's buying everything he can get his hands on. Cars, drugs, guns.
Spellbinding.
I hate the taste of metal in my mouth. Civil War makes me gag.
Kiss of Death pumps raw energy. Kiss of Death. Rated R.
Ow.
Now playing at theaters everywhere.
All you have to do is get
It was forged from a commitment to protection. It is Titan from Kwikset. Titan door locks, unbeatable strength, unbeatable security.
New York Knicks basketball is brought to you in part by Hertz. For business, for pleasure, nobody does it exactly like Hertz. And by Perry Ellis Menswear.
Fourth quarter is underway here at the Boston Garden. And the Knicks concluding matters in the third with a 17-1 spurt. Celtics missing their last 8 field goal attempts, and as you saw, Minor turned it over to open up the fourth quarter. It's been an outstanding performance by the Knicks. Oakley with the open shot. Rebounded by Douglas. Douglas and Brown in the backcourt. Brown with the fake. And Mason rebounds.
Mason doing a very fine job once again on the boards.
Davis. Gilbert trying the three. Rebounded by Raja. Knicks turning it around in the third quarter after shooting only 36% in the first half.
Knicks with their best third quarter, also 31 points to 23 for Boston.
Jack Neese with the call against the Knicks. Anthony Bonner picked up the foul. It is a non-shooting foul. The Knicks gunning for win number 54, coming off that unlikely finish for the victory last night in Charlotte. Douglas, three-pointer for Sherman Douglas. 79-74 Knicks. While the Celtics hoping to wrap up the final playoff spot, they need a victory or a Milwaukee loss. And Mason is fouled.
Mason posting up Raja. Raja at 6'11", certainly big enough, but he could not stay with Anthony Mason's quick movement away from him.
The Knicks shot 12 for 21 from the field in the third quarter. Anthony Mason at the free throw line. For those who may have just tuned in, the Knicks tonight going without both Patrick Ewing with a sprained hamstring and Derek Harper with a sore ankle. So Greg Anthony and Herb Williams getting the starting assignments. And the Knicks, after trailing by as many as 9 points, reeled off a 17-1 spurt in the third quarter, and they lead by 5 points. There's Derek Harper alongside Patrick Ewing at the Knicks bench.
Mason now 5 for 10 from the line tonight.
Montross in foul trouble right throughout. Got it out to Brown. Brown from 2-point range to bring the Celtics within 3. Knicks going with Starks and Davis in the backcourt. Bonner is up front with Mason and Williams. They double up on Mason. Shot clock at 7. Starks for 3. Good box out by Raja.
Boy, there is tremendous energy coming from the stands now in support of the Celtics' effort.
Montross. And back comes Bonner. And he is called for a traveling violation.
The trouble when you let that dribble get high above the waist, those infractions take place.
Bill Walton was telling us a moment ago, you know that Pat Riley would just love to come away with a victory to spare this, to ruin the farewell of the Boston Celtics in their finale here in the regular season at the Boston Garden. Raja lost it. Mason got a piece of it. Potter played by Minor. Mason turning it back outside. Starks trying to regroup it. Down to 5 on the 24. Herb Williams. Anthony Bonner with a rare outside shot. Rebounded by Williams. Montross lost it. Eric Montross having a difficult time out there tonight.
Boy, it happened last night in the closing moments of the game where Herb Williams was the beneficiary of a ball that just plopped right into his hands, and he put up 2 points to help the Knicks win that game in Charlotte.
Gilbert Davis called for the foul. Here's Charles Smith checking back in. We're told with under a minute remaining in the game in Cleveland, the Cavaliers are walloping the Bucks 91-76. So no matter what the Celtics do tonight, it may not matter. If the Bucks lose, it is all over. It is 99-76 Cleveland. So we can safely say that the Celtics will clinch that 8th and final playoff berth, whether they win or lose here tonight.
And the Bucks will be in the lottery again. And as we spoke to Bob Cousy several minutes back, they'll have a chance to come up with another terrific player. The Bucks are on their way big time, though.
Montross. So Boston is within 1. With 8:20 to go, 4th quarter, and the Knicks call for time. We have a final score. The Cleveland Cavaliers defeating the Milwaukee Bucks 103-82. That means the Celtics do clinch that 8th and final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. It also means for certain the Cleveland Cavaliers will face the New York Knicks in the opening round of the playoffs. Foul is called. It's on Minor. Second team foul called on Boston. 4 minutes gone by in the 4th quarter, and the Knicks lead by 1. Davis with the quick release. Oh, was that pretty. 3-pointer for Hubert Davis. So Davis with 15 points.
You've been repeating his performance from last time when he led the Knicks in scoring March 8th.
Boston maintaining possession with 10 on the shot clock. Minor sitting down. Xavier McDaniel is back. Hubert Davis is now 4 of 4 from downtown. Brown off the inbounds. Shot clock at 6. Douglas just did beat the 24. Here comes Starks. Herb Williams. Boston down by 4 points. Douglas with a floater. Cuts it to 2.
He has that quick release before the big people can block the shot. Boy, he's got that down.
20 points for Sherman Douglas, who has been in the midst of a roll, has played very well during this current Boston streak. They have won 8 of their last 10 games. Down to 5 on the 24. Starks for 3. Montross rebound. McDaniel played tightly by Oakley. Goes to the spin. And he has tied the game at 84.
Beautifully done by the X-Man.
McDaniel has 4 points. The Knicks and Celtics tied at 84. He's blowing the whistle and a foul against Boston. Holding foul. It's on Brown. Starks and Davis in the backcourt with Williams, Oakley, and Mason up front.
Such a different game for the Knicks offensively tonight without Patrick Ewing to go to work off, to feed off.
John, that was number 5, charged to the rookie center from North Carolina, Eric Montross. Boston with its 4th team foul.
Knicks offense always starts with Patrick Ewing as the main target, and tonight Knicks have adjusted quite well, as they did last night when Patrick only played 11 minutes in Charlotte.
Starks, nice fake, but he came up way short. Ultimately with the save attempt, and was last touched by McDaniel, so the Knicks hold on to the ball. They'll have 7 on the shot clock. Here's Greg Anthony for John Starks. John Starks with 17 points, although he has shot 6 of 18 from the field. 7 on the 24. Davis from way out and hits. What a shot by Hubert Davis. Chris Ford looking for a timeout. Hubert Davis, with the shot clock rolling down, was able to fire from way downtown. And the Knicks lead by 3.
Rangers are at the Garden to battle Jim Carrey and the Washington Capitals Monday night, right here on MSG.
Save me! Save me! Save me!
The leader in power tools, Bosch Power Tools. They let you cut quicker, drill faster, and they have the best jackhammer in the world. Bosch is the name real pros use, and Universal Tool is where they go to get Bosch toughness, Bosch reliability, Bosch power. And remember, Universal Tool delivers. Located in Mastic and their new location in Farmingdale. Call 420-1420.
5:26 remaining fourth quarter. The Knicks, by virtue of that three-point shot by Hubert Davis, have a 3-point lead. And the Knicks now know they will be facing the Cleveland Cavaliers. The series to open at Madison Square Garden Thursday night, and it's a game that will start at 7 o'clock. Knicks game night at 6:30 on MSG. Game 1 of the series in New York on Thursday. Montross not able to hit. He got the step, could not convert. Knicks 87, Celtics 84 as we come up on 5 minutes to go in the fourth.
The Knicks passing has been terrific here in the second half.
Mason posting up. And again, the Knicks effectively swing the ball, and Anthony Mason is able to do it inside against Xavier McDaniel. Another solid game for Mason with 17 points. Douglas. Montross missed the tip. Raja is fouled. Herb Williams called for the foul. Knicks have been shooting the ball well from downtown thanks to the exploits of Hubert Davis. They're 9 for 21 from three-point land. Hubert is 5 for 5. Dino Raja in his second NBA season out of Croatia, member of the 1988 Yugoslavian Olympic silver medalist team and the 1992 silver medalist squad for Croatia. That's Derek Strong checking back in.
Derek has taken his starting role over the last several games. As we mentioned earlier, Raja asked to come off the bench as he felt he wasn't doing the job.
Mason now working against Strong. Shot clock at 2. Davis. And it's handled by Mason. Mason made the move and called for an offensive foul. Look to go baseline against Strong.
One of the few times Mason isn't angry when a call goes against him. He's been killing the Celtics, though, with his low post movement.
Just under 4 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Roger with the spin. And again, the Knicks on the loose ball. 4-point lead for the Knicks with 3.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Davis to the running one-hander.
Oh, that left hand is he's so proficient when he goes left on those drives.
The Celtics take a timeout. The Knicks lead 91-85.
The National Jeep Sale is back. Your opportunity to get a great deal on one of America's legendary adventure vehicles. Lease a Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for just $299 a month. Or get no charge air and option package values on Jeep Cherokee Sport. Even the fun-loving Jeep Wrangler has a great deal. But you must see your dealer now, because something this exciting will be over before you know it.
See your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
The MCS Cannon, great teamwork play, and we will underline great teamwork play. It was at halftime, and Bill Russell with John Havlicek, who replayed his stealing of the basketball for the fans here, and that famous call by Johnny Most into Larry Bird. MCS Cannon, let us show you the possibilities.
All part of the halftime festivities, the ceremony honoring the finale for the Boston Celtics here at the Boston Garden. Clean deflection, the indication from the official, Jack Neese. Next fall, the new $160 million new arena built behind this building will open up. Deep Brown off the mark, and the rebound handled by Roger. Another block. That was either Williams or Mason or a combination thereof. And Oakley calling for time and being greeted by Doug Christie and the rest of his teammates for the heads-up play. Charles diving for that loose ball and able to call for the timeout to prevent the Celtics from tying him up. We'll be right back.
Are you nervous about retirement investing, but afraid the boat may leave without you? Here's a comfortable thought.
If you're talking my game,
you don't know, you better ask somebody.
You're talking Foot Locker.
Here's our Delta Airlines upcoming Knicks schedule. The Knicks will be home Sunday in the finale of this season against the Orlando Magic. NBC game, 1:30 p.m. And then Thursday, the Knicks will open up the 1995 playoffs with the Cleveland Cavaliers. 7 o'clock game, 6:30 Knicks game night.
Well, there are the 16 championship banners hanging from the roof. They will be moved over to the new Fleet Center, which, as I mentioned, was built right behind this building. The Fleet Center named for a bank that paid $30 million for that privilege. The seating capacity for basketball at the new arena will be 18,004 compared to just under 15 here. Charles Oakley giving the Knicks a 93-85 lead. And Charles has had a very fine game. 12 points, 13 rebounds. Timeout taken by the Celtics with 2:43 to go in this fourth quarter. in Boston, one of the memorable Knick moments in Boston Garden history. A flashback to Game 7 of the 73 Eastern Conference Finals. John Havlicek injured, sitting it out on the bench. The Knicks able to knock off the Celtics 94-78. Hondo out with a shoulder problem, did not play. Walt Clyde Frazier led the Knicks with 25. Bradley on the drive right there. The first time the Celtics lost a 7th game of a playoff series here at the Boston Garden. The Knicks winning their 2nd straight Eastern Conference title.
Sherman Douglas on that hoop. And Marv, what I remember also about that game was the play of Dean the Dream Eminger for the Knicks. Boy, did he stand tall in that win.
Yes, the Dream had a strong series. 93-87 the score. The Knicks up by 6. We wind down at 2 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. E. Brown is fouled. Herb Williams called for the foul. That's 5 on Herb.
Steve Brown and Sherman Douglas both combining now for 44 points, 22 each for the starting guards.
Dominique Wilkins, Dave Parting. Celtics do have one more game to play after today. They'll face the New Jersey Nets on Sunday. The Knicks wind up at the Garden Sunday against Orlando. The Knicks lead by 5 points, looking to sweep the season series and looking to make it 11 straight wins over the Celtics. Shot clock is down to 4. Davis, one of the rare times he has not been able to hit with the shot clock running down. A minute and a half remaining in this 4th quarter, and a charge is called. Offensive foul on Douglas.
Nobody likes that here. Greg Anthony diagnosing that well and drawing the foul. Sherman Douglas charging into Greg Anthony. Left arm also helped the official make the call. The left arm of Sherman Douglas crashing into Anthony.
Knicks 93, Celtics 88. Anthony Mason able to spring free and extends to a 7-point lead with 1 minute and 20 left in the 4th.
Chris Ford mustn't be happy about Derek Strong's defensive play, or lack of, on Mason.
Douglas for 3. Strong able to hustle it down. Douglas and tipped home. Dino Raja with the tip.
Boy, are these rims soft here in the Boston Garden. They're gonna close this place, Marv, you know.
Well, the Fleet Center will have the same floor and the same rims. Herb Williams gets inside. Herb Williams, who played very well last night in the win over Charlotte. Montrose. And a foul is called. It's a 5-point Knick lead, 38 seconds remaining. Oakley called for the foul, and Eric Montross to the line. He is 2 for 2 at the line.
I get the feeling that the Celtics are pleased with Montross's development this year, but he'll have to come back tougher next year. Tougher in a sense of plays like the one that Herb Williams just drilled right as he went right by him for that shot. Montross just kind of standing there.
4 free throw shooting by the Celtics down the stretch. Foul given by Douglas. And Anthony to the line. Both clubs are over the limit. Dominique Wilkins checking back in, replacing Derek Strong. Greg Anthony is 2 for 2 from the line. 17 points for Greg Anthony. 6 of 13 from the field. Also has 8 assists.
Greg, John Starks also with 17, and Hubert Davis with 20. So the Knicks backcourt was sparkling tonight. Well, one thing is clear, Marvin, that is Pat Riley clearly got his team to focus. One of his favorite words, to concentrate here in the Boston Garden tonight, where there were plenty of distractions.
Half minute to go. The Knicks are up by 7. Raja. And the rebound handled by Oakley. So it will not happen for the Boston Celtics in their Boston Garden finale. And the Knicks will make it 11 straight wins against a club that used to haunt the New York franchise. How things have turned around, and that is it for regular season play here on the parquet in Boston as the Knicks defeat the Celtics 99-92 in a very solid performance, in particular when you consider the Knicks were without Patrick Ewing and Derek Harper. Red Auerbach, who was the centerpiece of the farewell festivities at halftime, showing his concern as the Boston Celtics, although they did clinch a playoff spot tonight, go to 35-46, and they have lost their 7th straight at home to an opponent, and that is a franchise record, a dubious distinction type franchise record. The last time the Celtics beat the Knicks in Boston, April of '92, as we mentioned earlier, that was their 24th straight regular season win over the Knicks here in Boston. Plenty to talk about on the recap. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hundreds of natural forces may affect the survival of your business. And hundreds of companies may say they are.
The end of an era here at the Boston Garden. Many of the Celtic greats passing the ball around. And the final tosses ending up in the hands as a behind the back from JoJo White. That's Stan Jones. And that's Tommy Heinsohn threatening to take the hook shot. Bill Sharman threatening to take a set from the corner. Thatch Sanders. Bob Cousy going behind the back in appropriate fashion for number 6, Bill Russell. And then Havlicek stealing the ball, so to speak, making his way to Don Nelson, and then to Larry Bird, who was able to apply the finishing touch, and that got the crowd going. As for the game, it was Hubert Davis who had another big one against the Celtics. 7 of 12 from the field, 20 points in all, and Hubert did it from downtown tonight, hitting 5 of 6 from three-point land. So the Knicks win it 99-92. We'll be back in a moment, but first let's check in with Mike Crispino at the MSG Sports Desk.
All right, thanks very much, Marv. Old habits certainly die hard for the Knicks especially. Even without Patrick Ewing and Derek Harper, playing anything less than 100% is unacceptable to this team. The Celtics, with everything to play for tonight, could not muster enough to overcome that. And the Knicks win it 99-92, as you just saw here on the MSG Network again. Without Patrick Ewing and Derek Harper, the Knicks win by 7. The finale of the halftime ceremonies, it was Cousy to Russell, then to Havlicek, who took off with the steal. 49 years of Celtics basketball, 20 Hall of Famers on court tonight, and Bird made the layup to end that. They will head to the Fleet Center right behind the Boston Garden beginning next year. They'll take the rims, they'll take the hoops and the floor. It'll be a long time before they hang up another banner, however. John Starks off a Dominique Wilkins miss, had it stripped. Dino Raja jammed it home, and it was a 19-12 Celtic lead. There's Ewing and Harper with a day off today. Harper on the injured list for the next 2 games. Boston led at 29-25 after 1, but then Hubert Davis started to heat it up. Hit a 3 there, in fact had 5 in a row. Boston's lead was 1. Sherman Douglas, one of the acrobatic shots of the night, and it goes. A 49-45 Boston lead, tied at 48 at halftime. Pat Riley's team had a good third quarter. Craig Anthony picking off a pass here, and ahead they go. A long touchdown to John Starks, and the jam, 70-69. The Celtic lead cut to 1. Later in the third, the Knicks capping a 13-0 run. Handling the ball, McDaniel tries to go inside. The fadeaway is good. Chris Ford's team a 77-70 lead, trailing by 7, however. Then late the shots, Hubert Davis bails the Knicks out with a 3-pointer, 87-84. Then Hubert goes left-handed, 91-85. A 17-1 run by Riley's team to end the third quarter was pretty much it. Herb Williams, the finishing touches here, the layup, 97-90, and the Celtics have been beaten 11 straight times by the New York Knicks, 7 straight coming at Boston Garden, where the banners hang. But again, it'll be a while before they hang another one up to join those championship banners. Other NBA games tonight. Cleveland Cavaliers handed the Celtics a playoff spot by beating the Milwaukee Bucks handily in Cleveland. John Williams led the way. He shot 12 of 13 from the floor. 24 points for John Williams. Tyrone Hill had 16. 103-82 was the final. Vin Baker held at just 12 points on 5 of 13 shooting. The Nets at home, where their fans go blindly, hoping for an entertaining moment, at least one every game. Actually, they were treated to more than one tonight. A 107-106 victory. One of their keepers, Armand Gilliam, led the way with 28 points tonight for the Nets. On the NBA scoreboard, let's check out what's happened so far. Atlanta 128-111. Steve Smith, 21 points coming in the first half, 23 overall in the victory. Orlando routing Indiana 108-81. Shaq has 19. Horace Grant has 20 so far. Philadelphia knocks off the Heat 113-106. Glenn Rice with 36 points to lead the way. San Antonio all over the Clippers, 81-53 as they play the third quarter of action. San Antonio looking for win number 61 tonight. Utah trailing by 2 at halftime with Minnesota. Dallas and Phoenix just underway. Phoenix still with a chance to win their division. Seattle and Sacramento a 10:30 start. Sacramento 1 game behind the Nuggets for the final playoff spot in the West. So the Knicks win it 99-92. We'll go back to Boston Garden for post-game activities after these words here on the MSG Network. Stay with us.
Well, you with an excellent night from the field. Once again, your second performance here at Boston Garden when you were really on target. You love the rims here, obviously, Hubert.
Yeah, I like playing here. I think it's Rick Fox. I like
North Carolina guy, right?
Yeah, I like playing against my old college roommates. So, but I really do like it here. It's just a lot of tradition, and I remember watching Coach Riley and the Lakers play the Boston Celtics all the time here, and it's just a dream come true, and just a gift from God to be here and play.
Unfortunately, Rick wasn't able to play tonight, but you showed him how tough you could be, even if he was out here on the court. Hubert, I was just asking you a moment ago your feelings for the ceremony that went on here. I was asking you when you picked up on the Boston Celtics and your basketball youth and your evolution. What was your feeling watching the ceremonies here tonight?
Well, when I came out at halftime, I couldn't hardly walk. My mouth almost hit the floor seeing the great basketball players out there. It was the first time I had an opportunity to see Larry Bird in person, so I just want to go up there and hug him and give him a shake and just say you're one of the greatest I've ever seen. And I didn't know he was that tall. He's awesome.
Hubert, Pat Riley had a job in his own hands tonight, you know, getting your team to focus on this game with all the distraction going on. What was Pat's message to the team?
Yeah, we didn't want to come out here and make it a throwaway game. Obviously, we've already clinched the second seed, and we can't advance anyway. And so we want to come out here and work on our game. And I think if you're competitors, every time you step over the line, you want to win, and we did that tonight.
With the big man out tonight, Patrick Ewing not playing, what was the team trying to do to make up for his absence?
Well, you know, you can't really go in there and play like Patrick Ewing. We just needed 12 guys collectively to go out there and just contribute. And I think we did that. Greg Anthony played tremendously in the absence of Derek Harper, you know, Charles Oakley, Herb Williams, Mace. Everyone did a great job tonight, and everyone's celebrating in the locker room.
Solid win for the Knicks. And Hubert, once again, congratulations to you for a fine shooting performance in leading the Knicks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, time now to go back to the man whose broadcasting career started right here in the Boston Garden, Marv Albert.
Well, yes, John, that was a memorable afternoon for me. As I recall, a Celtic win over the Knicks. I sat in for Marty Glickman, who was caught in a snowstorm out of the country back in the '63 season. I know you were out there somewhere listening.
That makes you about 12, as I recall.
Exactly,
Marv,
pretty
yes.
close.
It's been a long run for you.
Yes. The Knicks over the Celtics here tonight, 99-92, and we now know that the Knicks will open against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Game 1 at the Garden on Thursday night after they wind up the regular season on Sunday with the finale against the Orlando Magic. Knicks game night at 6:30 on Thursday. Game time at 7. So So it will be the Knicks in Cleveland in the opening round of the playoff series. Cleveland defeating Milwaukee to certify that fact. That was earlier tonight. The Knicks post-game report is coming up in a moment, and as always, we will hear from Knicks coach Pat Riley. So the Knicks over the Boston Celtics, and for the last time in regular season play, the Boston Celtics have taken the court here on the parquet, and we say so long.